get to Bowen Island, you fly into Vancouver. From there, you take a 20-minute ferry ride across the Howe Sound. This trip alone feels like the beginning of a dramatic movie. Everything's oversized. It's discernibly Pacific Northwestern. It's one of those places that isn't really mistakable for anywhere else on Earth. When you arrive on Bowen Island, you enter a village. Sure, the island's landmass is about the size of Manhattan, but instead of 3.9 million people, Bowen's population has never surpassed 4,000. Even cooler than its quaintness is Bowen Island's loyalty, how every single one of those 4,000 people really live by the same kind of appreciation code. On Bowen Island, you stop to greet each other in the streets. You hitchhike home from work. You stop in any local cafe or bar, and pretty much everyone knows your name. It's not your typical tourism destination, Bowen Island, and the people like it that way. So when I finally touched down and headed to my vacation rental, I couldn't help but start to wonder, for places that are made special because few people visit, what's the best kind of visitor you can be? Travel's more accessible today than ever before, but to find the best experiences, the right vacation rental can make all the difference. For years, I've worked with the inner circle of professionals leading this movement. Now I'm going on vacation to experience their work in person, and I'd like to share with you our stories as we redefine hospitality on a whole new scale. My name's Matt Landau. This is the Vacation Rental Show. When planning my trips, I like to begin with the best variety of accommodation options possible, and Booking.com has it all under one roof. I chose this vacation rental because of its limited edition personality. The property was originally a fishing shack. The walls are decorated with family heirlooms. All the furniture is chosen with comfort in mind. And it even had a wood-burning fireplace, which was awesome. It reminded me of my childhood in New Jersey.
My aunt, who I inherited the house from, was a crazy garage sale shopper, but I've recovered it and updated it and made it more comfortable. There's a story for all these pieces, and I think it adds a depth to the decor.
We're not lost at all. I'm looking into the window of the Lazybone Hideaway. We actually were just gonna surprise appear on you. Are you here?
Hi!
I made it.
So we've been coming here since we were children. I mean, it was truly a fisherman's shack that was brought over on a barge in the 1910s.
This is so cool. I feel like I'm in a movie.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, you're right.
There's a camera behind you.
Jan Stevens is incredibly warm and hospitable. You get that immediately because she's just so relaxed. She immediately puts you in vacation mode.
I apply all my 30 plus years of interior design to now my vacation rental properties. It's really a good application for what I think I was born to do.
When I arrived, Jan was really excited for me to meet two people. One, her neighbor, Len, who's been a family friend for years. And two, her son, Akira, who lives in San Diego but was in town for the weekend.
Thank you for making time for us.
Well, yeah.
Well, I kind of sprung it on you, but I mean, it's their thing. They run up the mountain.
No,
No.
he runs up the mountain.
Oh.
Akira grew up going out into the forest and going on hikes with Len. And they formed this really cool bond. It was pretty funny because I had just flown in after almost 36 hours of travel. So Akira and Len encouraging me to come on this hike, I was starting to think twice about it, but it was totally the right decision.
All through here, there's just trails after trail.
You know all these paths like the back of your hand?
No, I forget kind of some of them, but as soon as I run into it, I go, oh yeah.
We ventured up Mount Gardner. It was the most surreal of a hike, but even more captivating was learning from Len and Akira all the wonders that these hills had to offer. Hearing how these two guys got along, the similar ways they viewed the world was unique for two people of such different profiles for me.
I would take him just somewhere where it was so steep that he had to slow down, and even he slowed down. He was puffing a little, but this is 3 or 4 or 5 years ago when he was really fit.
Now he's complaining about his knees.
Well, as I said, he started to have,
I'm out of shape now. That's
You can learn a lot about someone just by hiking with them out in nature. Len loves going off trail, sort of bushwhacking in order to get the best views. And it was good to follow in his footsteps. That meant slightly less bushwhacking for me. And it was the perfect place to get proper context and perspective about Bowen Island.
We gotta find a good hill to get some momentum going.
It was also the perfect way to tire out someone who just flew in from Portugal.
There you go, Len.
We're there. We're trying to keep up with the kids.
After our hike, it was 4 p.m., and I decided to lay down for a nap. And I woke up the next day at 7 a.m. Bowen Island is seductive like that.
There's all these wonderful people on Bowen Island doing all these amazing things, but they did not have the opportunity to share their passions with other people. We're outdoor enthusiasts, we love Bowen, and we just decided, why not do something that celebrates what we love? And we invited other people to show up and share their stories of adventures. And what happened was it introduced us to an entire community of people on Bowen that we had no idea existed. We met a scuba diving community, a trail running community, a foraging community, and the business evolved from there, really.
Next morning, I woke up to meet Kiley Redhead, which is actually her last name, of Bowen Island Adventures, which is what you get when you mash a self-development coach and a curator of adventure experiences on the island. She would end up becoming my go-to contact for the days to come.
I'm Kiley.
How are you? Matt.
Nice to meet you, Matt.
Nice to meet you,
Yeah,
too.
welcome.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome to Bowen.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
I'm Stephanie. Nice
How are
to meet you.
One of Kiley's partner companies is Steph Carruthers with Wild Foraged, a woman who's as passionate about fungus and strange things that you'll find growing in the wild as any adult I've seen on TV or met in real life.
This is a polypore fungus.
I thought it was a polypore.
Yeah, you can tell by underneath there's no like gills or like tubes like you would have in a bolete type of a mushroom, like a porcini. But this is called a dyer's polypore, and it's not for culinary uses.
Okay.
But it's really popular for dyeing natural fabrics.
Okay.
And it's really cool.
Cool.
But that's a dyer's polypore.
I was just kidding. I had no idea what a polypore
Oh.
was before you told me.
I was like, this is great.
The girls asked that we not share the location of our foraging, and I could soon see why. Pretty much within a few yards radius of any given spot in these woods, you can find mushrooms.
And it's definitely very poisonous.
Yeah?
You can tell by the scales on top, and underneath they grow in kind of like an egg sac.
Okay.
And generally, there's lots of different types of amanitas.
Okay.
And one of the most popular ones would be the red and white, like Mario mushroom.
Oh, yeah.
That mushroom can be controversial. Some people think
Psychedelics?
Yes, a little psychedelic,
Yeah.
but also liver damaging.
Oh.
And then once you get into some of the other amanitas, they can actually kill you.
The forests on Bowen Island are magical places. The trees are so tall, and the ground is so perfect and mossy. We wandered beside picturesque ponds with orange and red leaves, and ultimately, we stopped at Steph's car, where she unloaded some of the remaining mushrooms she didn't sell at the local farmer's market.
This one here is the cauliflower, like we found in the woods.
Yeah.
This one here is a matsutake or pine mushroom.
Yeah, those are fancy.
Yeah, you can smell it. They're really aromatic, like really peppery and
Yummy.
musty. So that one, clean off the dirt. Sometimes you can just peel it off like that and slice them super thin. A little goes a long way.
Not raw, cooked.
Cooked. Cook all of these for at least 10 minutes
Okay.
and saute them up. This one here, I'm going to give you the whole chunk because
Whoa,
it all
okay.
needs to be eaten today.
Okay.
But you break it apart like florets here, and it's kind of annoying to clean.
That's
But
okay.
you'll just pull off any dirt.
I'm
If you see a really, really dark piece or like that, just pull it off, but it's relatively good.
I'd been on Bowen Island for less than 24 hours, and already I could see that I was gonna fit in.
When you come to Bowen, there's a real sense of belonging here. Even when you're visiting, you can feel it, you can see people. You can see the community interacting with each other. And so for me, the visitors that I love having here are the ones who want to give something to the community, and the opposite of that to me are people who are just here to take from our community. I have found the only way to attract what you want is to be what you want. At Bowen Island Ventures, we're doing our best to be the example of what is great about where we live and to invite people who would appreciate that to come visit.
Cheers.
Salud.
Oh my gosh.
I got permission to do that from my friend in Uruguay.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he's a master winemaker. He said you can make any noises you want.
Oh, okay.
So now I just make all the
Oh,
noises.
you just do it just because.
This is delicious.
It's good, isn't it?
That evening, I invited Jan over to the Lazy Bee for dinner, and I got a chance to hear a little bit more about how she fell into this whole vacation rental thing.
When my aunt died in 2004, I inherited the house and decided that, well, maybe I'd rent it out a little bit here and there to help pay for the overhead. Little did I know, owning a house in a rainforest is pretty expensive because everything needs a lot of maintenance. And this is the initial business that I started with in 2005. And then in 2013, I started Bowen Island Accommodations.
I cooked up some of the wild mushrooms using her completely equipped kitchen. Jan stocks this thing the way she likes it for her own use.
Okay, here, how many times have you wanted iced tea and you wanted an iced teaspoon?
Yeah, that's true.
I don't have these at home. This is like special stuff.
Or that's also good for like a
Yeah.
ice cream sundae or something, a dessert type thing.
Yeah,
Now this, what do we use that for?
grapefruit.
Huh.
It's a grapefruit spoon.
And here's a really good tip for vacation rental hosts, by the way. If you're thinking about how to properly equip your kitchen, for instance, equip it as if you lived there, as if you were cooking there every single night. Apply this thinking to every room in the house and be sure that you are satisfying any possible guest's needs. And if you'd like to innovate like Jan, click below to go behind the booking. There was one mushroom that was so difficult to clean. It was like a sponge with all these weird little tentacles. And at the end, I just gave up and just said, you know, if you're gonna try this, you're gonna also be eating some dirt. They were tender, woodsy, and they really just satisfied my soul.
Chase down a brand new adventure. Step up, step out and enter in. There's no time for stalling. The wild is calling.
The best features of Bowen is the nature and the outdoors and all the activities that you can participate in. Since there's a lot of things that I'm not an expert in, I think it's great to delegate to other experts. Whether it's Kiley at Bowen Island Adventures or to Brent at Bowen Island Sea Kayaking.
How's it going?
Nice to see you. You always arrive on a one wheel?
I just bought it.
It's always nice when your vacation rental host can recommend a valuable local tour guide. And Brent from Bowen Island Sea Kayaking was just the guy.
And as I'm pulling, I'm rotating my waist a little bit, setting myself up for the other side, okay? Rather than using my arms, which is just utilizing my biceps. If I keep my arms bent but relatively stiff and rotate at my waist, I'm engaging my back muscles,
Yeah,
I'm
and your
engaging
core.
my core,
Yeah.
and those muscles are a lot bigger, stronger, a lot more efficient to paddle that way.
Brent was in the process of closing up his kayak shop for the winter, but he also struck me as the kind of guy who would never pass up a chance to head out on the water.
Risk it all, you learn to feel alive.
Just 10 minutes out into the sound, this sea lion came up, just floating by, not a care in the world.
That's amazing.
Hey, guy.
Hey, buddy. Do they get friendly?
This is quite unusual, actually, that he hasn't gone swimming, that he hasn't gone for a dive.
Brent explained to me the history of this body of water, which was actually contaminated for a number of years, was only recently beginning to show new signs of life. We even got to see Lazybone from the water, which was really cool, getting a totally different perspective on where this vacation rental fits into the coastline.
You know, Bowen, I think, has been getting a little bit more on the front and center. It's interesting because you have residents, 3,700 permanent residents on the island, many of whom were, historically, many of whom came here to escape the city and are a little chagrined at the amount of tourism that's now coming to the island. On the other hand, the tourism affords the people who do live here full-time the luxury of being able to live here full-time.
And have...
Because we've got
nice
restaurants and we've got pharmacies and doctors and schools, and if it wasn't for, kind of the ongoing tourism, a lot of this really wouldn't be happening. But growth has to happen, obviously, in a controlled way, I think, in a smart way.
This was a totally different kind of aquatic adventure for me. It was cold, it was the Pacific Northwest, there were these big, huge mountains with snow peaks surrounding us, but it was also really special. Certainly the kind of thing I'd like to do more often.
I differentiate between tourists and visitors, and my distinction is tourists come for their own reasons, and visitors come because they want to experience the place they're staying. And what I've learned through Bowen Island Adventures, even only running it 1 year, that our customers are visitors, not tourists. And the people who most appreciate what we have to offer are the people who want to come here and have a full Bowen experience. Not just a takeaway, not just an Instagram photo, but an actual experience with the people, with the culture, with the environment.
I've been in hospitality marketing and sales for 50 years in Vancouver and different areas. But I live by the motto, if you always do what you always done, you always get what you always got. And so we have to go that next step. And I think that's really important, for the community. But we still have to keep the numbers up, because these poor people who, well, you can see there's a couple of empty spots here. Right. So you need those wonderful visitors who like to explore and find artisans and find local places and spend their money.
You can tell a lot about a person when you ask the neighborhood to describe them. Murray Atherton's not just the proverbial guy on Bowen Island, he's also a neighbor, literally. Murray lives next door to the Bowen Island Hideaway. Murray's synonymous with Bowen Island tourism as its volunteer extraordinaire. The Bowen Island tourism website receives the vast majority of internet traffic on the island. It represents the island's mom and pop shops as formally and admirably as any small business could hope for. And on this particular morning, Murray was, naturally, volunteering at the gym when I caught him for a few of his thoughts.
You read all the articles about over-tourism, of millions of people coming. Well, we've got tens of thousands over the course of the summer, so it's pretty manageable. And, it's understandable that some people get upset because they've always been able to drive up and park right in front of the pub and walk in and get a table. In the summer, it's a little different, which makes me happy. So I love to see lineups.
Yeah, that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Having never been to Artisan Square before, Murray then took the liberty of showing me around. First to Cocoa West, according to one of the patrons, the best chocolate shop in all of British Columbia.
We followed our nose and led us here.
All right.
What's going on in there?
Well, let me show you. So we've got the dark chocolate in here. It's a 71% fair trade, organic, soy-free cacaberry chocolate.
Cacaberry?
So, cacaberry, which comes under the Berry Callebaut group of companies. So
Okay.
it's a division of them. And so this is completely vegan because you're vegan, right?
Well, just
So-
allergic to dairy, but yeah.
Allergic to dairy. So, well,
Basically.
they almost go hand in
With
hand.
regards to desserts, I'm vegan.
All right. Well, let me show you how we make a solid chocolate. I'm
Okay.
just going to warm up the mold.
I'd never had hot chocolate before. This was my first time as someone who's allergic to both milk and chocolate that I've ever had the chance to try hot chocolate, and it was incredible.
So that one's got a little cinnamon and a little cardamom in there with the dark.
Been missing out.
You've been missing out.
36 years. Never had a hot chocolate.
That's okay. You will no longer miss out over the next 36
You hear that,
40
Mom?
years.
Murray then took us past a few shops, including a yoga studio, a bright and creative art gallery, and this world-class cashmere showroom where the owner's Italian mother was in the back, making magic. We finished this diverse morning tour with a look at the catchy Artisan Suites, vacation rentals that are more like baller hotel rooms, immaculately designed and presented with views into the courtyard and out the back of the wild corner of Bowen Island. I also stopped by Catching Stars, a microcosm of Bowen Island's artistic juju, where I met Marie and Larissa, the gallery's ambassadors.
Catching Stars, our philosophy is all year round. So we have 42 artists. Most are local, which is exciting.
Basically, I was an extra for the season 8 on Game of Thrones, which is my ultimate dream job. And at the end of it, because I'm also a jewelry designer and maker, HBO gave me the rights to be able to use some of the logos and some of the designs to make jewelry for all the extras and crew. And at the
How
end
did
of the
that
show,
happen?
well, I did a design and was like, "Can I do it?"
Oh,
and
nicely.
they thought about it, and then a month later, I heard back and like, "Yeah, go for it."
Cool.
So I came home for about a month and designed and had no idea what I was doing. I'd never done this before, so I was kind of like, "Oh God, can I actually do this?" And it all worked out.
I also met David and Chelsea, two artists who have lived on Bowen Island for ages and who sell their jewelry, images with dye, and three-dimensional art that was as distinctly Bowen Island as any person or landmark could be.
The people that live here have all made a conscious decision to come here for the lifestyle, and creative people, especially people who don't have to commute to the city, are drawn here because it's a great place to live with a great community and like-minded. There's lots of like-minded people.
Oh, hi! Hi! So we introduced you to one of our favorite trail running trails, the Handloggers Trail, and I introduced you to Kim, who is a trail runner extraordinaire, ultra runner, and also founder of Girl in the Wild.
Kim is a nature and a fitness enthusiast, and she takes young girls for confidence building classes out into the wild.
It's pretty amazing what you can actually do when you just set your mind to it, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I've gotten really into trail running lately. I find it to be a totally different experience than walking or running in any normal place. You constantly have to be focused on what's going on beneath your feet.
How do you feel?
I feel great.
Me too.
Alive, not dead.
Alive, not dead. No jerks.
No jerks. Sunshine.
Can't complain.
What more do you need?
And to me, that's why she runs. That's what trail running is. It's a sense of having a sense of freedom and being out there on your own, just you, your own feet in the forest.
And this is a great tip for travelers, by the way. When we travel, the best is when you go places where friends can set you up with things they think you'd like. And when we go places we don't have friends, look for someone like Kiley, someone who offers that kind of service professionally. It's the best of both worlds. For my final evening on Bowen Island, I wanted to take advantage of my beloved vacation rental kitchen and host a dinner to pay back, if even a tiny bit, to the people who so generously shared their island with me, while my new friends arrived and enjoyed the space I'd come to call home. I began to reflect back on my last week in Bowen, a tiny island off the coast of Vancouver, founded on the idea of escape, which is ironically starting to feel some of the challenges of that very allure. And I realize that in this day and age, we as travelers are discovering all kinds of places, especially those off the beaten path. And that in the worst cases, we take away or detract from those destinations, but in the best cases, we can actually contribute to them in a most meaningful way. And while the various stakeholders of Bowen Island may have different goals or visions for this new reality, one thing they have in common is an understanding that it's happening, and that with the right kinds of people as your ambassadors, you may not get it perfect, but you can get pretty darn close. In this sense, for a visitor, choosing Jan and the Lazybone Hideaway was more than just a way to meet a new destination. It was the choice that made all the difference. Sometimes the character of a destination, sometimes the meaning people give to it, but oftentimes a mixture of both. This is Bowen Island. This is the Vacation Rental Show.